888-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 18th day of October, 2016. Let's take a quick look at the numbers. Happy Tuesday to you. Yesterday there was barely any green to be seen, and today across the world I think there's nothing but green practically. Netflix is up 20%. We'll find out why. But let's just take a look at the numbers. Now, if you can't see the chart I have up, it's the S&P 500 Emini Futures. Go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll see where it says Watch Live Now. Click that. 30 seconds worth of registration will get you direct access to the show for the rest of the month. One-click access via an email that will come 1 hour before the show starts. And then come 1st of November, we do the whole thing all over again. Okay? All right. Here at home in the US of A, the Dow's up 97 points. That's over half of 1%. NASDAQ is up 61 points. That's over 1%. S&P 500 is up 17 points. That's almost 1%. And the Russell 2000 is up 10.5. That again is almost 1%. You've heard the term Turnaround Tuesday? Well, this would be it. Okay? Now, in our commodity basket, crude oil is up 11 cents. Gold, yay, gold. We only get a green day here. It's actually up $7. That's scary when that's half of 1%, but it's actually more than half of 1%. Gold trading 1263.60. All right. As we take a look at the Asian markets, the Nikkei is up 63 points. Shanghai is up 41. That's almost 1.5%. The Hang Seng is up 356 points. That is 1.5%, over 1.5%. And last but not least, the European markets, DAX up 127. That's over 1%. FTSE up 52 points. That's over half of 1%. And last but not least, the CAC is up 58. That is closing in on 1.5%. So, Europe is green wall to wall. Asia, green wall to wall. And the U.S. green wall to wall. Even our commodities, crude oil and gold, are green. So what's all this bullishness about? What's really going on? We'll find out when we come back. Michael has a meeting scheduled for 1:15, and we're going to wrap things up today probably by 1 o'clock, because I have an out of the office meeting, and I want everyone that is here who would like to be in that meeting at 1:15. There's only seating for 25, but it's designed primarily for the people who are taking the free trial, but I know that some of you who have recently become partners also like to get in there too. Those of you that have been around forever, you can go to the Tuesday page and see those previous videos. So if you don't get a live seat today, you'll still be able to see the video. All you have to do is let Michael know, and he'll send you a link, A, to get into the video, and B, to watch previous videos. Just send that email to support@cfrn.net. So without any further ado, we'll go to Michael right now so that he can give us a recap of everything that happened today in the live training room, and he'll also answer any questions that you have along the way. So as he talks about something, this is a learning environment, okay? This is your opportunity. Whatever's held you back in the past, whatever stumbling blocks have gotten in your path and prevented you from finding consistent profitability in the markets, now is your time, okay? You have an open window to the world. Not only do you have access to the charts that we show, but you have access to that little chat box, and nobody sees what you type in the chat box except myself, Michael, and Bert if he happens to be in. But we're not here to judge you, so don't be shy with what you ask. We're here to help, not judge. So whatever's on your mind, whether it's as simple as, what's the green line for, or what did I heard what you said, but I don't know what it means. That's a fair question. We'll stop, we'll slow that down, and we'll answer it for you. Okay? So Michael, I can see your screen. I will hit mute on my end, and I'll be here as soon as you're done.
All right. Well then, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 18th day of October, 2016. Today, let's just go over how to take the free trial first. Okay, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. In the right-hand column where it says register for a free trial, put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay, you must click that confirmation link. If you don't click that confirmation link, then sorry, if you don't click that confirmation link, then we don't know that you took a free trial. Okay, we don't know that you took a free trial, so you must click that confirmation link. All right, so let's go over the trades. We only had 3 trades today in the live trading room. I mean, in the live training room. And hang on a sec. All right, so in gold, it started out with a move down right in here, but then it didn't continue the move down. Came back up and started to go back and forth a little bit right in here, as you can see. And then it finally made a move up. Right over here, when it made the move up, there was an opportunity to go long on the gold when it closed right here above this trend line right in here, and that's where we put our order on, and we took 3 ticks profit on that. Okay, now we missed a trade in there, and the cycle was going down way too steep right here for a trade. Okay, over here there was the cycle during the break. There was really nothing because the cycle was just back and forth and all over the place. So there was nothing during the break. So it doesn't look like there was a ton of opportunity anyway. I mean, you see the legs going up, the beautiful legs going up, but we're just not getting the trade setups down here. Okay, it's got to give the whole thing. If you were doing some of the trades that I'm going to go over this afternoon in the 115 meeting, then you would have had more opportunity there. Okay, that's all for that. Now on the ES, I think I highlighted 1 trade this morning on the ES. Nope, I guess I didn't highlight anything. The ES this morning, from early on when the European markets opened up, it went from this weekly trading zone up to this one. Then when the US markets opened up, it went right back down to where it started. And now that the European markets are closed again, it's working its way back up. So there would have been a long opportunity from right in here. It would have been a close above a trend line, like that. Okay, a close above the trend line like that. Right in there. Okay. All right. If anybody has any questions, feel free to just type them in. Dwayne and I are the only ones who can see them. All right, crude oil. This is where we got the goal for the day. This was the first trade of the day right here, and we had a 10-tick target on it because that would have been the goal for the day. And it went down and filled the 10-tick target. There was a follow-up trade on that one right there that I missed, and another one there, and another one there that I missed. And then you can see it just got really, really flat in here. Really flat. Right here, we had a bounce off the BBC with an up close right there during the break. That would have been an opportunity to go long, but it would have given you, you would move your stop to break even right over here. Okay, and it would have taken you out to break even right in there. All right, soybeans. Looks like there was only one opportunity this morning on soybeans. It was right in here, and that would have been a break-even trade as well. Yeah, there was nothing else. So there really wasn't that much opportunity today, which makes the fact that I only had 3 makes me feel a little better about it. Right in here, there was an opportunity that I had missed this morning, a shorting opportunity down to dynamic support. Once it turned around and got back up above, we had an opportunity off the BBC right here. Okay, and did not put in a higher swing there, so we had nothing through there. And then right over here, there was another shorting opportunity that would have been a break even. Had anyone gotten it? Nothing there. And nothing there either. Okay, so that was really it. We had 8 ticks on this one. And that was it on the morning. Now, this one, I used this here as an example of the actual trade setups. I'll go over the trade setups with you here for just a minute. Okay, these are the 2 that we do in the live trading room. In the live training room, I gotta get used to saying that. Right here, when the MA1 crossed the BBC right here, and it pulled away. Step 1 is it crosses. Step 2 is it pulls away. Step 3 is it tests the BBC. It touches it. And then the next bar that closes up, as long as this black step line is above the BBC, the next bar that closes up is where you're going to look to enter that. Okay? Now, if we put this right here, you can see that was at 55. So when we had the up close right there, the thing to do would be to have a buy stop limit at 60. Okay, 1 tick above the close, and then you'd be in the trade for sure. Okay, down here in the slingshot, this was step 4. In the slingshot for step 4, you got to have the cycle's got to be blue and it's got to be above the green line. It's got to be blue and above the green line. Okay, that was that type of trade. Now, if you do not hit the BBC, or the cycle is the wrong color, that's when you want to use your trend line. Okay, let me find an example of that. I think crude oil. Yeah, right in here, you see the cycle was the wrong color, but we drew this trend line, and then we needed to down close below the trend line before the black step line crossed up above the BBC, so it would have been that red bar right there. Okay, and that was it. That was all there was to it. There was another trade just like it right here, but this one would have been a momentum trade because the entry is below the MA1, and same thing there and there. Okay, and that's it. So with that, I will bring this back up, show you how to take the free trial. If you have not taken our free trial, go to the homepage at CFRN.net, and in the right-hand column where it says name, put in your name. Where it says email, put in your email. Click on register for free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Great, Daniel. I'm glad to hear that. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click that link. Okay, if you don't click that link, you do not get the free trial. Okay. All right, and with that, I'm gonna send it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Dwayne, if you are available.
I'm right here. Just send me the charts over and off we'll go.
Send it over. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. I think I pulled my back during the break. I pulled a muscle going right across the center of my back. That does not feel good. Yeah, it does not feel good.
I hope you feel better.
Well, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but it'll be alright.
What were you doing?
I was moving some things, and I picked up this pack of laminate flooring, and I kind of held it out straight in front of me, and something right across the center of my back just sort of snapped.
Well, after your meeting, lay down and put on a hot pack or a cold pack or whatever you do for a bad back. And
yeah, I should probably check that out.
hopefully it'll feel better.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Today, what was the recap of the recap?
19 minutes, 1 trade, $100.
Excellent. It's a beautiful way to start the day.
It is. Certainly is.
Now, this morning, Donald Trump yesterday morning, Donald accused House Speaker Paul Ryan of distancing himself from Trump because he is thinking about his own presidential aspirations for 2020. And quite frankly, I think his aspirations for 2020 might have been pretty good, but for some of the mistakes that he's made here of late, Questioning Ryan's motives, Trump implied in an ABC News interview that the speaker did not care whether Trump won the White House. Well, maybe not, Trump said, because maybe he wants to run in 4 years, or maybe he doesn't know how to win. That's a Trumpism. Maybe he just doesn't know how to win, Trump added. I mean, who can really know? But I know I'm in his territory and they're all screaming for Trump. Now, this is true that, Trump is drawing huge crowds wherever he goes. But the media is not showing us those pictures. But the reports from boots on the ground say they're there. Is it a mirage? Is it live? Is it Memorex? I don't know. So I'm here in Phoenix, and I think he's passed through here a couple of times and done rallies. One was last year when this whole thing got started. He was downtown, I think at the convention center, and you couldn't even get within like a square mile of the convention center. So, I know a lot has changed since this whole thing began last summer. My goodness. Remember all those people standing on that stage, all wanting to be our Republican president? And then there was one. And we, the American people, chose him. Or did we? The conspiratorial voice asks. So the chairman of the Wisconsin Republican Party, Brad Courtney, later defended Ryan in a statement saying, "The Republican Party of Wisconsin is incredibly proud and fully supportive of Speaker Paul Ryan and the work he does for the conservative movement here in Wisconsin and across this great nation." Ryan's fraught relationship with Trump worsened after the release 2 weeks ago of a 2005 recording that showed Trump bragging about groping women. Boy, that just won't go away. I mean, there's a whole book out about the Clintons' war on women. And you know what? If you have not Googled that up, if you have not gone to the Amazon page where it's for sale, where they will allow you to read practically half the book, somewhere between 25 and, I don't know, maybe 40% of the book. A lot of pages are left out because they want you to buy the book, but boy, they are sure generous with the amount that they do allow you to read. And so if you are pro-Clinton, anti-Trump, don't you owe it to yourself to at least read what the book says? The people, the women who gave testimony, who came out long ago, not here in the last few minutes, but long ago, and said, I was brutally raped. I mean, don't you owe it to yourself to at least see what the accusations are, and then take a look at the authors of the book? What's their history like? Are they known to be honest, upstanding men? Are they known to be the Woodward and Bernstein of our age? These are questions that only you can answer for yourself. But they're very important questions, because what's going to happen here in 20 some odd days is we, the people, so we're told, are going to elect the next president of the United States. Now that's a 4-year tenure with a pretty good shot of 8 years. I mean, you can do like an incredibly horrible job the first 4 years and still get reelected. We have evidence of that sitting in the Oval Office right now. So this is no small matter. please educate yourself. That's all anyone can ask you to do. No one can tell you how to vote, because this is America, and no one should try to manipulate your vote. However, asking you to educate yourself on both sides. See, and now, although I'm a conservative, I want to know what both sides bring to the table. I want to know what I'm voting for. Understanding that, go back to any presidential election in history, and whatever promises were made along the campaign trail, if you end up with 50% of that, you did real good. You had a good president. I watched a video yesterday. I do wish I could remember the name of that. Oh boy, shame on me. It goes back to the years of Ronald Reagan, who is probably one of the most beloved presidents in history. I think people on both sides of the aisle have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He signed into law a bill that made crack cocaine much more heinous than powdered cocaine. Now, everyone up and down Wall Street was, snorting lines. If you haven't seen the new TV show Conviction, this attorney gets in trouble for cocaine, and she's sentenced to this. It's kind of like the Innocence Project. You need to watch that. Start with episode 1 on the on demand. But anyway, so what happened is there was suddenly a mass incarceration of young black men across America. We literally went from the slave camps back to the slave camps. Now, at the time, it looked like a good idea. Crack cocaine was a scourge. It was causing all kinds of criminal activity and behavior, and it looked as though it was so powerful it could be the downfall of America, and it was bad. It was one of the enemy over the years has perfected a lot of tools to bring down this world. And that was one of his best jobs. It really was. But you had in the suburbs moms snorting cocaine, and on Wall Street you had the greed generation snorting cocaine, and in the inner cities you had young black men buying, selling, and smoking crack cocaine. And what's the difference between the two? Well, it's a very simple process. I don't know how you do it, but you need a stove, you need some water, you need a jar, you need some baking soda, and then there's some kind of process, and it turns the powder into these little hard rocks, and you smoke them in a glass pipe, and it's like 10 times as powerful as it concentrates it. And I don't know all that goes into, but I'm going to bring you the name of this movie tomorrow, and you can watch it on Netflix. And I should have written the name down. It probably runs about an hour, but from the time that law was signed in, we had incarcerated in America something around 500,000 people. And over the course of the next 10 to 15 years, that number swelled to something like 2.5 million. 90% of those people arrested, not necessarily because they were in possession of drugs or they were selling drugs, but whatever crime they were committing had to do with drugs. In other words, maybe they were breaking into your house, stealing your TV so that they could go sell it to buy the infamous crack. I don't think anyone can watch that movie and ever look back at what happened in America the same way again. Even today, we have 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the people on this planet who are behind bars in America. Did you know that? Our country represents 5% of the world's population, but it also represents 25% of the world's incarcerated population. Now, those were the statistics given in the movie. Okay? It looked to be like a pretty legitimate documentary. I haven't vetted it. I don't know what the actual numbers are. We can find out. We can ask Google. We can see what they have to say about all of this. I'm sure they have something to say. Let's see what we got. Let's see. I don't think we need that. We need that. Actually, we need a new window. That's what we need. Yeah, there we go. Okay, my cell phone just told me that today is Martin Day's birthday. Martin Day, happy birthday. If you have never turned that little notification thing on your Facebook account, think twice. Sometimes people that you can't immediately, let me just say, you'll get a lot of notices. Some about people you know, some, it makes it very convenient to, when you get the message, you just hit 1 and enter, and then it posts on their timeline, happy birthday, Martin. So if it's telling you that it's Martin's birthday. So anyway, before I get too sidetracked, and we're going to talk about phones. We're going to talk about the Pixel phone here in a minute, and it's really quite interesting because it backs up an argument that I've had for a long time with the whole Siri business and iPhone. I mean, this might actually put a dent in Apple's business. I mean, everyone's thought they were undentable, but I'm not so sure. This new Pixel phone is just getting rave reviews from everyone, even the Apple fanboys. Let's see what we get with U.S. incarceration rates. U.S. incarceration rates. Yeah. In October 2013, the incarceration rate of the United States of America was the highest in the world at 716 per 100,000 of the national population. While the United States represents about 4.4% of the world's population, it houses around 22% of the world's prisoners. Okay, now How is that? Why is that? And could that possibly be a good thing? Do they give us any reasons why? Wikipedia. Lean to the left here with me for a moment. It houses around 22% of the world's prisoners. Corrections, which includes prisons, jails, probation, and parole, costs around $74 billion in 2007, according to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics. So they can give us this number for 2013. Why can they only give us this number going, I mean, we're lagging by 6 years there. U.S. incarceration peaked in 2008. Total correctional population peaked in 2007. If all prisoners are counted, including those juvenile, territorial, ICE, Indian country, that means on the reservation, and military, then in 2008, the United States had around 24.7% of the world's 9.8 million prisoners. But we have 5% or less of the world's population. Are we that bad? The imprisonment rate varies widely by state. Louisiana surpasses this by about 100%, but Maine only incarcerates at about a fifth of the rate. A report released in February of 2008 indicates that more than 1 in 100 adults in the U.S. are in prison. So I'll ask you, do you know someone in prison? According to a U.S. Department of Justice report published in 2006, over 7.2 million people were, at that time, in prison, on probation, or on parole. That means roughly 1 in every 32 Americans are under some sort of criminal justice system control. My goodness, 1 in 32. Now, we're a nation that's been raised to respect our elders, right? Not to lie, not to steal, not to kill. I mean, something somewhere went horribly wrong.
New visitor.
Increased sentencing laws. Even though there are other countries that commit more inmates to prison annually, the fact that the United States keeps their prisoners longer because the total rate causes the total rate to become higher. To give an example, the average burglary sentence in the U.S. is 16 months compared to 5 months in Canada and 7 months in England. Okay. Looking at reasons for imprisonment will further clarify why the incarceration rate and length of sentences are so high. The practice of imposing longer prison sentences on repeat offenders is common in many countries, but the 3 strikes law in the U.S. with mandatory 25-year imprisonment implemented in many states in the 90s are statutes enacted by state governments in the United States which mandate state courts to impose harsher sentences on habitual offenders who are previously convicted of 2 prior serious criminal offenses and then commit a third. And then here is where I really think what I took away from this documentary is where it all really began. The war on drugs is a policy that was initiated by Richard Nixon, who we all know was, himself no angel. He may not have smoked crack, but I don't know that. I'm assuming he didn't. He had a potty mouth. I got that on tape. With the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, which was then vigorously pursued by Ronald Reagan and then also Bill Clinton. Bill and Hillary Clinton are accused of locking up more young black men in America than anyone else in history. It's in the documentary. By 2010, and this isn't a Republican kind of documentary at all. By 2010, drug offenders in federal prison had increased to 500,000 per year, up from 41,000 in 1985. Drug-related charges accounted for more than half the rise in state prisoners between 85 and 2000. 31 million people have been arrested on drug-related charges, approximately 1 in 10 Americans. In contrast, John Half has accused Alexander of exaggerating the influence of the war on drugs for the rise in the U.S. incarceration rate. According to him, the percent of state prisoners whose primary offense was drug-related peaked at 22% in 1990. Okay. After the passage of Reagan's Anti-Drug Abuse Act in 1986, the incarceration for nonviolent offenses dramatically increased. The act imposed the same 5-year mandatory sentence on users of crack on those possessing... this was in the documentary. The act imposes the same 5-year mandatory sentence on users of crack as on those possessing 100 times as much powder cocaine. 100 times. Now, it's not 100 times more powerful. This has a disproportionate effect on low-level street dealers and users of crack who were commonly poor blacks, Latinos, the young, and women. Courts were given more discretion in sentencing, and the disparity was decreased by 18 to 1. Anyway, it's a sad state of affairs. And then we have what they call the prison industrial complex, where prison privatization becomes big business, and more prisoners, more money. It costs in the state of Arizona, I think the price is somewhere around $50,000 a head to incarcerate someone. I did the math one time. You could put somebody up at the Hilton, the downtown Phoenix Hilton, in a really nice room, cable TV, the whole nine, for less than what it cost to lock them up here in the state prison. So anyway, kind of got sidetracked on that whole thing, but it's a sad state of affairs. So what do? We just open the doors and let everybody go? I don't think that's a good idea. Do we take a look at why people are in jail? Do we stem the flow coming in? Has that already been done? These figures are so old. I'm really surprised there aren't any more current. 2013 was the most current. Well, let's throw 2015 in there and see if that brings up a different article. Okay, so, well, why not? If we can get 2015, maybe we can get 2016. Now that takes us back to that same old mass incarceration, the whole pie. Wait, does the United States have 1.4 million or more than 2 million people in prison? Are most people in state and federal prisons locked up for drug offenses? Frustrating questions like these abound because our systems of confinement are so fragmented and controlled by various entities. There is a lot of interesting and valuable research out there, but varying definitions make it hard for both people new to criminal justice and for experienced policy wonks to get the big picture. One in 5 incarcerated people are locked up for a drug offense. Wow. Most incarcerated youth are locked up for nonviolent offenses. Again, probably tied to drugs. What a horrible thing to see a life that just simply wastes away behind bars. I mean, my goodness. God created us for something far better than that. I know that over the years, my wife and I have known many people that have been incarcerated and got out, and we worked with them and helped them and provided employment and place to live, and doggone it if they didn't get in trouble and go back again. And one guy that we helped for so many years, going all the way back to I think 97, 98, he spent most of his adult life, actually most of his life, not just his adult life, because he was a youthful offender in prison. And the last time he went to prison, it was for 8 years. And I had a talk with him just a few days. I was leaving for Africa, and I had no idea he was leaving for a trip too. But he said, I think I want to go back in. And I'm like, what? We were sitting out in front of the church, kicking back in the chair, watching the traffic go by. It was a beautiful day. The weather was nice. I said, man, I go, you have the freedom to get up right now. You can go walk down to McDonald's, get something to eat, get something to drink. You can walk over to the park. I mean, you have so many options and opportunities available to you. Why would you ever say anything like that? And he said, I don't know, maybe I'm institutionalized. It just feels like that's where I should be. And when he got out after that 8-year stretch, we picked him up, and I said, man, I'll take you anywhere you want to go to eat, where you want to go. He goes, oh man, if I could have a McDonald's, that would be great. I said, are you kidding? I go, I'll take you anywhere you want to go. You name it. You want steak, you want chicken, whatever you want. Man, I just want a McDonald's. I've been thinking about a McDonald's for 8 years. I said, all right, brother, that's what you want. And so we went, and we had our kids with us, and he used to send them artwork from jail. He would paint pillowcases, and anyway, we stood in line at McDonald's, and we got our food, and that's not a place we would typically take the kids to eat, so they were pretty happy. And we all sat down, and we were getting ready to say grace and eat, and I looked up, and Ray was standing behind his chair, kind of at parade rest, sort of. And I said, what's up? And do you need something? And he said, is it okay to sit down? And I go, yeah. See, that's institutionalized right there. So accustomed to being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, why to, maybe not why, but when and how. And he had not yet got that out of his system. And so over the ensuing months, we spent quite a bit of time with him. My wife bought him a bicycle so he'd have a way to get around. And city buses here in Phoenix, we have pretty good mass transit, and the buses have these hooks on the front of them. So if you're riding a bicycle and you need to go all the way across town, You can hook your bike on the front of the city bus, and then when you get across town, take your bike down, and you got a way to get around in that part of town. I have a friend who lobbied for that with the city council for many years to get those racks on the front of those buses. Blue, if you're out there, I hope you're doing well. That's his name, Blue. He's an old hippie. Anyway, I wish I could tell you that Ray was doing good today. After all that, I don't know if he's on the outside, on the inside. He started to act kind of strange, and so we couldn't let him be around the kids. And before long, we were, being victimized by threatening phone calls, and over the whole 8 years that he was locked up that time, not to mention other times, my wife that was kind of a ministry of hers. We had several employees, ex-employees, and people who had jobs waiting for them when they got out. That was part of her ministry, was to write and to stay in touch with them and encourage them to do the right thing, to take classes, to better themselves, not to just, waste away behind bars. And she took that seriously, and she worked hard at it, and it just broke her heart when it happened again. Now, like I say, this is a young man who grew up in a broken home. Alcoholic mom, alcoholic dad. I think he was first incarcerated at the age of 14, and he just never seemed to be able to break free of that cycle for any length of time. I think maybe he lived in one of our men's homes for a year, couple of years at the most. I think that's the longest he managed to stay out of trouble. And there's a very good chance that you know someone here in America, land of the free, right, who's locked up. If you do, don't forget about him, So, on a lighter note, I wanted to talk to you about just two things. I said today's show would be short because I have an appointment I have to go to, but I want to talk to you about, first, artificial intelligence. The new Android phone that has been produced by Google, manufactured by Google. Oh, looks like we had some breaking news here that I missed. Breaking news. UK National West Bank has seized all bank accounts of Russia today to end their broadcasting, according to its editor. UK National West Bank has seized all bank accounts of Russia Today, RT. I assume that's a television program or a network, to end their broadcasting, according to editor-in-chief, who took to Twitter to announce they closed our accounts in Britain, all our accounts. The decision is not subject to review. Praise be to the freedom of speech. And then Tom, before he left, said, "Can anyone tell me why Russia is our enemy?" Patrick shares, a critical issue is what they do after they get out. When employers want to employ them, the recidivism is extremely high. That's why for 13 years we had an inner city ministry, Patrick, that was our core mission, was to provide jobs for those who were fresh out of prison, people who were recovering from alcohol and drugs, people who had been chronically homeless, the people who had fallen through the cracks of society, and basically the qualification to come to work for us was, if nobody else will hire you, we will. And we did that, and we did it for 13 years, and it's probably the best 13 years of my life. But it sure takes a lot out of you. It really does. Patrick goes on to say, what is worse is the poor have no real way to deal with all the court appointments and fees, such that they get further and further behind. This is a huge waste of precious human resources. Boy, I couldn't agree with you more, Patrick. That's why we did what we did. After 8 years, Ray was dropped out by a van down at CAS, Central Arizona Shelter Services. There's a van that I think it's either 8 a.m. or 10 a.m., but same time every day. All the people who've been released from the state prison are released right there, and they all have $40 in their pocket. And if they had a TV when they were inside and they decide not to leave it with their roomie, so they get out of that van with the clothes on their back and $40 and a little tiny TV, or just the clothes on their backs and $40, because most of them leave the TV behind with their cellie, as it's called, as they call them, not roomies but cellies, and so for the predators in our society who are either not yet locked up or are between lockups, what easy prey, what easy targets these men and women are, climbing out of that van every single day, like clockwork, same time, same place, and you got all the predators out there looking to get that $40. See, that right there, that could be fixed. That could be fixed at no cost. The reason behind it being is that is where the resources are available. That is where the shelter is that's always full. That's where, if you were to drive through that area in downtown Phoenix, it's literally like a scene from The Walking Dead, except everybody's still alive and they're walking, but it's dead man walking. It's a horrible thing to see, and to my knowledge, nothing is being done to change it. So anyway, you've heard about the Pixel. Now, Google open sourced their software, Android, many years ago, and they gave any manufacturer that wanted to build a piece of hardware and stick the latest version of Android in it. It was open source. Have at it. For a period of time, there was a Google phone called the Nexus. It wasn't really a big deal. And now there is the Pixel, which is 100% Google manufactured and has the latest and greatest Android software in it, and it has the Google Assistant. And this is really what separates it from other phones. Now, I've said before that Siri, which we're all familiar with in the Apple iPhone, you can't have an intelligent conversation with Siri. You can ask questions, and you can learn to ask questions in certain ways that you may or may not get a usable answer. But there's no memory retention. It just gets so frustrating trying to have a conversation with Siri that I almost always end up shutting it down, opening up a Google browser, and doing the OK Google thing and going that route. I find that I get the answer I need much quicker than hearing Siri say, I didn't understand what you meant by, and then it repeats back whatever I said. It just gets so aggravating and frustrating. So, Android has always been a mess. We accept that. Its greatest strength, the openness and ability for any phone maker to freely adopt and modify the software, is also its greatest weakness. It has caused fragmentation, spotty or missed updates, and major security concerns. After all these years, the companies that made Android phones have no signs of cleaning things up. It's always been the issue with an Android-based phone is that their security just kind of didn't exist, and up until recently, the Apple phone claimed that it couldn't be hacked. That it was free from any malware, viruses, you name it. If you used the iPhone, you were safe. Well, tempt the bad guys long enough and they'll figure out some way to prove you wrong. So Google has decided to fix this mess. The Pixel, the first smartphone designed by Google from the ground up, is the antidote to most of Android's problems. Phone which starts at $649, so it's on par with the Apple, goes on sale this week, highlights Google's ambitions to take back control of Android and finally prove it can be a streamlined and easy to use platform. And it's working. The Pixel is an excellent phone, and it's what Android should have been from the beginning. Google has finally figured out that it's not just enough to make great software, you need to also pair it with excellent hardware. That should be obvious, and that's been Apple's philosophy for decades. Google also has a major advantage over Apple. It has always been better at software and services, and nothing proves that more than Google Assistant. This is where I'm headed with this. The new digital helper that lives inside the Pixel and future Google-made products like the Google Home speaker. George, I don't have the link to that meeting. Michael posted it earlier or emailed it out. But if you email support@cfrn.net or call 949-42-EMINI, he will have that. Yeah, hang on, I might be able to grab it here. Give me 1 second. Here we go. I found it for you, George. There you go. That one should be working, as far as I know. I'm not sure which one you copied, but that's the one that I see set up inside of there. So hopefully that'll help you. Alright, back to the Pixel. This is what really sets it apart, and why this really may be some challenges, be a challenge for Apple, who has, held 90% of the cell phone market for a very long time. The Pixel phone is a taste of the future in which hardware matters less and the artificial intelligence that powers it takes precedence. Now, no one is better positioned to take advantage of that future at the moment than Google. As you know, you can use the OK Google feature from the Google app, even on your iPhone. You just open it up and say something like, OK Google, that wakes it up, when's my next flight? Now, in the Pixel phone, everything's integrated. See, when you download that app into your iPhone, there's a fragmentation that takes place because it's not native. But in the Pixel, it's native. So you can take your Pixel phone and say, OK Google, when's my next flight? The new Google Assistant, which functions a lot like Siri, but a whole lot better, tap and hold the home button and the assistant pops up to ask what you need. Google Assistant pulls information from everything you do in Google's services, from search to email to calendar to photos. The more Google services you use, the better Assistant becomes at helping you. Now, I'm reading from an excerpt from an article written by someone who was given a Pixel phone to test prior to its release, and here's what he had to say. My favorite example over the past few days. I asked Assistant when my next flight was, and it gave me the answer, complete with the Delta flight number and the scheduled takeoff time. I never told Google about my flight. It just knew based on the confirmation email that Delta sent me when I booked the flight. Now, to some people, that's really cool and exciting, and to other people, that's really very creepy. Because this Google, whoever and whatever it is, knows exactly where you are, what you're doing, where you're going, probably even why. Are you following me here? It's either the coolest thing in the world or the creepiest thing in the world. That's just one tiny example, he says, but it's an important one. Assistant is smart enough to understand context across a variety of services to get you that one thing you want. See, that was my argument with Siri, is Siri did not have that ability. It's shocking and magical, he writes, when it works, and it's just the first step in Google's ambition to create a personalized Google for everyone. It's not there yet, but after spending a few days with Assistant and the Pixel, I can tell Google is better equipped to make artificial intelligence work for users than any other company. Assistant's capabilities are so broad and varied that it's impossible to list them all here. I haven't even come close to unlocking everything Assistant can do, but I was routinely surprised whenever I dreamed up something new to ask. Pull up the photos I took from my latest trip to San Francisco. Done. Give me the fastest route home. Done. Remind me to chat with my boss when I get to work tomorrow. Done. Play that Calvin Harris and Rihanna song. Done. Then there's the ability to tap into Google's vast knowledge of the web and deliver answers to the questions you ask. What time is the next presidential debate? See, when you ask Google Assistant, what time is the next presidential debate, it will just tell you. If you ask Siri the same question, the answer comes back, this is what I found on the web for when is the next presidential debate. Do you see how one is artificial intelligence or close to it and the other isn't? I hope so, because it's gulf as wide as the Grand Canyon. Did the Jets win? That's a yes or no question. But on Siri, you're going to get, this is what I found on the web for did the Jets win? That's not what I ask you. I ask you if the Jets won. I don't understand what you mean by, and you get caught in this endless loop, and you almost throw your $600 phone across the room. Are there any good ramen restaurants near me, and can I get a reservation? This is what I found on the web, or yes, according to Yelp, there's one 2 blocks from you and it has 5 stars and 110 reviews. Oh, see, one gives you the answer to what you're looking for, and one tells you what you already know, that you can go to Google and find the answer. He writes, I could go on, but you probably get the idea. Google has tens of billions of answers logged into its system, and it can pull even more from trusted sources like Wikipedia if it's stumped. It's almost always able to get you what you're looking for, though I did experience some rare cases in which it would pull up a standard list of Google search results. Okay, that's when it's behaving like Siri. And when you couple Assistant with Google Now, Google's proactive helper that delivers information and alerts based on what Google knows about you, the Pixel turns into more than just a phone that responds to your swipes and taps. The Pixel is constantly working for you, delivering what you want before you even know you want it. Apple should be embarrassed that Siri, which had a 5-year head start on Google Assistant, is nowhere near as capable. Still, there are some flaws with Assistant. It could send emails and text messages, but couldn't read ones sent to me, a feature that should be coming soon. It also couldn't tell me when my next Amazon order was expected to arrive, even though that information appeared in Google Now. Those things can be easily fixed over time. An Assistant will continue to get smarter and learn new skills the more people use it. There are also some obvious privacy concerns. Assistant is so good because it knows so much about you. So you have to let a piece of yourself go and have a high level of trust that Google won't misuse or abuse all that personal information that makes Assistant work so well. It will most likely scare off some people. I don't blame them for it, but for me, it's a fair price to pay for a tool that makes my life so much easier. The other benefit to the Pixel is Android. This isn't the modified Android you've experienced on phones from Samsung, LG, or LG. It's pure Android, delivered the way Google intended it, and it's really, really good. The latest version is called Nougat, and it sports a clean design and all the standard features you'd expect from a high-end phone. But the real bonus is that Pixel will be the only phone that receives new versions of Android as soon as they are available. That's almost unheard of for Android devices. Even the Nexus phones that Google has helped other manufacturers develop over the years has struggled to deliver timely updates. The Pixel comes with the promise that you're buying a phone that will continue to improve over time. It's one of the biggest things keeping users locked into the iPhone, and it's refreshing to see that finally come to Android. At last, Android feels on par with iOS. The next great challenge will be to expand that philosophy to the rest of the Android ecosystem, but I'm not very optimistic that can happen. From now on, if you want the best of Android, your best bet will be to buy a phone straight from Google. Comes in two sizes. It's got a 5-inch screen and an XL model, which is 5.5. There's a fingerprint sensor, a super sharp screen, fast charging if you use the wall plug, and a standard headphone jack. Yes, they still have the headphone jack. The Pixel is missing two features that are becoming standard in premium phones: wireless charging and water resistance. Neither is a must-have, but if Google is making you pay this much for a phone, it would be nice to include something like that. The design is shockingly similar to that of the iPhone 7, so much so that one of my colleagues thought I had two iPhones on my desk when he took a quick glance. It's also noticeably thicker, which is probably why Google was able to brag that Pixel doesn't have an unsightly camera bump. That's the truly disappointing thing about the Pixel's hardware. The iPhone 7 design already feels dated, and it's even worse that Google borrowed so heavily from it. I would have liked to see some creativity design-wise. So I'd love to hear you guys take on this new Pixel phone. I don't have one. I have no plans to get one. I just spent, I forget how much, to get a replacement phone for the iPhone 6 that I broke. I'll probably use that phone until it doesn't work anymore. I mean, it makes phone calls, it searches the web. I don't need to do anything else. I can live with that. There's one more article I wanted to share with you today. I'm not going to have time today, but I'll share it to you tomorrow. It's a press release that came out today from Amazon, and it has to do with a new feature for all of the Prime members. Okay? And Prime is that service that gets you free shipping on just about anything you can think of. I want to thank you right now, though, for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.
Hello, and welcome to the Mind of a Trader. This is Steve Croft.
The owner of the Los Angeles Angels, Artie Moreno,